A'udzu billahi min syururi anfusina. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. La haula wa la quwwata illa billah. Amma ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Terima kasih kepada AJK Surau Hidayah kerana memberi peluang kepada saya. Alhamdulillah, saya sangat gembira berada di sini. Alhamdulillah. Saya minta maaf sebab saya masih belajar bahasa Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, insyaAllah Brother Zuhaili will be doing some translating and I will speak in English, insyaAllah. Usually, sekarang saya boleh lebih kurang 70%, 80%, tapi campur-campur macam rojak. So mungkin lebih baik I speak English, insyaAllah, and express myself in English, and insyaAllah Brother Zuhaili will translate, insyaAllah. My name is Taqi Abdullah. I reverted to Islam. I became Muslim 25 years ago in America. And at that time, I was living in a community on top of Tanah Tinggi. It's like on top of a mountain. There was a community. The community was 100% Christian, no Muslims. 100% Christian, and about 99% orang putih sahaja. There were a few Mexican families from Mexico. Tada orang African American, tada. There's no African American people there. Just white, basically, and Christianity was the major religion, so there were churches everywhere you look, basically. The city is full of churches. Before I became Muslim, I actually, for like 3.5 years, I searched for the truth in Christianity. As a Christian, I was searching for the truth. And I went from church to church to church to church, and from denomination to denomination to denomination, searching for truth. Denomination lebih kurang macam kumpulan, like different groups of Christians. And akidah lain, their belief system is different from church to church. So I went actually to about approximately 40 different churches. And I had visited and studied about 14 denominations of Christianity. After that time, I became very, very, very tired. 3.5 years of searching. And I stopped going to church. When I stopped going to church, I realized that I was feeling tired, but I was also starting to feel sad. Sedih. Penat dan sedih. And I thought for quite a while because I couldn't understand what I was feeling. So I realized that I had stopped searching for the truth. I stopped going to church, but I stopped searching for the truth.
Okay, nama beliau adalah Taqi Abdullah dan beliau telah 20 tahun masuk Islam di Amerika, dan beliau tinggal di satu komuniti di tempat yang tinggi di Amerika. Kalau kat sini Cameron Highland lah, ada satu tempat yang tinggi dan terpencil, di mana tempat itu 100% orang kat situ orang bukan Muslim, dan agama yang dominan di tempat itu adalah Kristian. Jadi sebelum beliau masuk Islam, beliau 3.5 tahun sebelum itu beliau mencari kebenaran dalam agama Kristianiti. Beliau pergi ke gereja dan dominasi dalam Kristianiti. Dominasi adalah kumpulan-kumpulan dalam Kristianiti lah. Ada lebih kurang 40 buah gereja yang beliau telah pergi, dan beliau belajar hampir 14 dominasi yang terdapat dalam Kristianiti. Selepas beliau melawat gereja-gereja ini dan belajar dominasi-dominasi ini, beliau menjadi penat dan sedih kerana beliau tidak menjumpai apa yang beliau cari. Dan beliau setelah pencarian tersebut, beliau berhenti untuk faham dan beliau cuba, beliau tidak rasa apa-apa lah, tidak rasa apa-apa dan beliau berhenti daripada pencarian beliau.
In my home library at that time, I had quite a few books. Most of the books were about Christianity, but I had one book called the Handbook of Denominations. This book actually had all of the denominations of Christianity in America, and actually some from Europe also, like Anglican Church. But it also had world religion. So it had like Shintoism, Buddhism, Islam, Taoism, many isms, many religions around the world. I read this book. I actually sat in a room and I read for like an hour and a half. After I read, I was even more confused. I felt so confused. I remember very well. And I closed the book. And I sat by myself in a room. I think it was even getting dark. And I was just thinking, what else can I do? I've already made effort to go to all these churches. I've done a lot of studying. I've studied, you know, quite intensively. And I realized that I need to pray. Because in my mind at that time, that as a Christian, I believe that God is perfect. And in my mind, it was logical that there must be perfect truth. There must be truth, like full truth. And I put my faith and trust in Allah with an open mind, an open heart, and sincerity. Dengan ikhlas. And saya berdoa. I made dua. And I asked God to please show me the truth unconditionally, without conditions. No matter where it takes me, no matter how it changes me, I really want to know the truth. So please show me Allah. Please show me. Alhamdulillah.
Di dalam rumah beliau ada satu perpustakaan lah di dalam rumah beliau. Tapi di dalam perpustakaan tersebut cuma ada buku-buku berkenaan Christianity. Tapi dalam salah satu buku beliau ada buku panduan domination, buku panduan dominasi Kristian lah. Tetapi dalam buku tersebut ada juga disebutkan tentang agama-agama lain seperti Islam, agama Hindu, agama Taoism, macam agama lain lah. Dan beliau mula membaca buku panduan tersebut selama lebih kurang sejam setengah. Dan selepas beliau membaca buku tersebut, beliau menjadi semakin keliru. Kemudian beliau menutup buku tersebut dan duduk seorang-seorang, dan beliau berfikir apa lagi beliau patut lakukan. Kerana beliau telah belajar sejarah gereja dan cuba belajar tentang kumpulan-kumpulan Kristianiti, tapi beliau masih tidak mendapat jawapan. Pada waktu itulah beliau terfikir untuk berdoa, kerana sebagai seorang Kristian pada waktu itu beliau yakin bahawa Tuhan itu sempurna dan memang ada satu kebenaran yang sempurna. Jadi beliau berdoa dengan hati yang terbuka, wahai Tuhan, tunjukkanlah aku kebenaran tanpa syarat. Tak kira ke mana sahaja kebenaran itu bawa aku.
That night, I went to bed. It was starting to get a little bit late, so I went to bed and I slept just normal. I woke up a little bit early. Saya bangun awal sikit. And when I woke up, I went to my home office. At that time, I actually was doing graphic design for the advertising industry. And I was working from home. So I had some projects. I wanted to get up early to start working. I turned on the computer, I turned on the radio, and I turned on the coffee pot. We have like big coffee pots in America. We drink a lot of coffee. Alhamdulillah. The radio, I usually every morning, I listen to friends of mine that were in the religious community. I knew many pastors, I knew the priests, I knew many people in the community that were in Christianity. I would listen to their programs while I was working. That morning, after I made dua, the radio, when I turned it on, I never changed the station, it's always the same. That morning, there's no sound. No sound at all. So I turned the dial a little bit, and then I adjusted a little bit more. Still no sound. A little bit more. And there was a man and a woman talking. And I was very interested to just see what they're talking about, so I listened. And the man said that Muslims, orang Islam, are not bad people, but they are misunderstood. And the woman, she said that the Quran, Al-Quran, is truly from Allah. It's from Allah. I instantly, very, very, very quickly, I felt a sense of jahiliyyah. I felt so jahil. I felt so ignorant because I know nothing about the Quran. Nothing. I have never touched Quran. I've never read Quran. I don't know what it is other than a holy book of the Muslims. I didn't know anything about it. So I felt very ignorant. And I got on the internet back 25 years ago, 1999. We had internet in America, but very slow. Very, very slow. But I got on and I typed Koran, Quran. Orang Amerika macam Quran. So Alhamdulillah, keluar, one page, terjemahan Abdullah Yusuf Ali. Terjemahan bahasa Inggris, Alhamdulillah. So I printed the first, actually I printed the entire file. It was a text file. And then that night I took 5 surah, the first 5 surah chapters, to bed with me to read. I normally read 1 hour before I go to sleep during that time. I like to read. And that night I took the 5 surahs to bed and I started to read because I was so curious. I want to know what is inside of the Quran. What is this? And I normally read 1 hour, but actually that night I read for maybe 4 or 5 hours. I read, and the more I read, I wanted to read more. The more I read, I wanted to read more. And I think, when I think back about it, I think it's because it was so logical, it's very reasonable, very jalas, very clear, no contradictions. And the names that I was reading about, many of the names mentioned in the Quran, I was familiar with from the Taurat and Injil. Because the names, the stories and the names are very similar. So I realized, I recognized some of the stories, I recognized the names, and I was starting to feel very, I don't want to say excited, like emotion, but I was feeling like tenaga, like energy, like I want to know about this. So I wanted to keep reading. I was very interested to continue reading.
Selepas beliau buat doa pada malam itu, beliau tidur seperti biasa. Dan keesokan harinya beliau bangun awal pagi dan beliau pergi ke meja pejabat beliau lah. Kerana beliau bekerja sebagai seorang graphic designer, orang yang buat grafik untuk satu syarikat marketing. Dan beliau bekerja daripada rumah waktu itu. Dan pada pagi itu beliau membuka radio dan beliau membawa kopi beliau seperti biasa. Beliau suka minum kopi American secara umumnya. Dan beliau memang kenal ramai orang dalam agama Kristian. Jadi pagi itu beliau akan biasanya mendengar siaran-siaran radio yang berkaitan dengan Kristianiti lah. Dan pada pagi tersebut biasanya beliau akan dengar siaran radio berkaitan Kristian. Tetapi pagi tersebut tidak ada siaran yang berbunyi daripada radio. Jadi beliau adjust radio itu sehinggalah beliau mendengar ada seorang dalam radio itu kata orang-orang Muslim ini bukan orang-orang yang jahat, tetapi orang yang disalahfahami. Dan beliau dengar juga daripada siaran itu ada seorang perempuan yang cakap Quran itu benar-benar daripada Allah. Tapi pada waktu itu beliau menafikan perkara tersebut dalam hati sebab beliau tidak pernah tahu tentang Al-Quran. Melainkan itu adalah kitab orang Muslim, itu sahaja. Tetapi dalam hati beliau menafikanlah perkara tersebut. Dan pada waktu itu, ini adalah waktu zaman tahun 1999. Pada waktu itu internet sangat slow. Dan beliau type di internet Quran, K-O-R-E-N, itu cara orang Amerika sebut Quran lah. Dan pada waktu itu dalam syariat itu keluarlah terjemahan Abdullah Yusuf Ali, dan beliau print semua terjemahan itu. Dan biasanya beliau akan baca 1 jam sebelum tidur, kerana itu adalah hobi beliau. Tetapi pada malam tersebut beliau ambil 5 surah pertama untuk dibaca, dan beliau mengambil masa 4 ke 5 jam pada malam itu untuk baca surah-surah tersebut, kerana beliau dapati terjemahan di dalam Al-Quran itu adalah sangat jelas dan masuk akal. Beliau juga mendapati banyak perkataan yang beliau sudah biasa, seperti perkataan Taurat dan nama-nama yang pernah beliau belajar di dalam Kristen ada di dalam Al-Quran. Jadi beliau merasakan ada satu tenaga untuk terus mengetahui tentang agama Islam.
After that, within like maybe 2 or 3 days, I went to a used bookstore in that same community, Christian community. Inside of the bookstore, usually they have a lot of Christian books. If you go to the religion section, usually it's just like books about Christianity. That day when I entered, I saw that by the cashier, by the cash register, there was actually a box of books in front of the cash register, and it was like harga istimewa, it's like discount books, $1. And I saw that it's like full, penuh. So when I looked inside, on top, terjemahan Quran Abdullah Yusuf Ali, bahasa Inggris. This community is all Christian. Very, very rare. Qadar of Allah, alhamdulillah. I was so happy to find this. I bought it for $1 and I took it home. I read the terjemahan in bahasa Inggris. Alhamdulillah. After that, after like 2 or 3 days, after I finished reading, I turned the book over and I put it on the table. On the back cover, there was the publisher information. Mana cetak buku tu. In my community where I was, it's very, very difficult. I don't think that there are any books about Islam available. So I called the publisher and I asked the question, do you have any other books about Islam? I explained to him at that time that I was a Christian, but I'm interested to learn about Islam. Do you have any more books, or is this the only one? And mashallah, may Allah reward the brother. He actually told me that they have many books about Islam in their publishing, in their kedai. So he tried to make it very easy. Now I look back and I say, wow, the way he talked to me was so nice. He tried to make it easy for me. And he said, please tell me the books, write a list of the books that you want, and please send whatever amount of money that you are comfortable with. Yang selesa, that you're comfortable to send. Any amount. If you can send money, fine. If you can't send money, fine, it's okay. But send whatever you feel comfortable if you want to send something. So I sent $50, $50 US, 25 years ago. And I also sent a list of books, approximately 5. I believe it was 5 books. I wanted to have a Quran that had Arabic and English. I also wanted something about Sirah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I wanted something about the Rukun Islam, Rukun Iman. I wanted to learn about the pillars of Islam, the pillars of Iman, and very basic information about Islam. I think Islamic history, there were like 2 more books. I sent this to him, and I was thinking at that time, maybe I will get these books in 2 or 3 weeks. So I need to be patient, sabr, maybe 2 minggu, 3 minggu. So, alhamdulillah, actually within a week, express delivery comes. They have a big box. They deliver it to the house. When I took the box inside, I opened it and I felt very excited. I wanted to read more. On top of the box, he had put a sajada. First time that I've ever touched a sajada, first time that I've ever seen a sajada. And warna biru yang sangat cantik. It was beautiful. I still remember opening the box, this beautiful blue sajada. And the sajada, bau minyak wangi, sangat sedap. It was really, really a nice smell. I've never smelled that before. So I looked at the sajda and I put it to the side. Inside of the box, 20 to 25 books. 20 to 25 books. Some of them were small booklets, some of them were bigger books, but he sent 20 to 25 books covering many basic things about Islam, and also there were some books there for new Muslims. So within a period of 2 weeks, I believe, I read all of the books. Saya baca semua buku-buku tu. And around that same time frame, when I was reading, saya bermimpi. I had a dream. And the dream was very strange, actually, and I still don't know, I don't attach any meaning to it. I don't know what the dream meant, if anything. But in the dream, I saw a man. I was actually walking around the street. I was trying to find something, but I don't know what. But I was searching for something. And I saw a man. He was wearing white clothing and panjang sikit. And he had long black hair, rambut hitam. And he went into a building. And the building was a public building, like a reading room, or I felt like it was some kind of room where community can enter. Anybody can go in. But when I went inside, he was sitting in the floor. And that's very strange, because in America, we sit on chairs. We don't have the custom in America to sit on the floor. It's very difficult. Even today, it's difficult for me to sit like this, and I would really like to. But we're not used to it. And so I'm thinking in this dream is very different because he's sitting in the floor, and maybe he was sitting on sajda, I don't know. But I feel like he had a carpet like underneath. But he was very tranquil, very calm, and that was the end of the dream. Very strange, and I don't know. I don't know if it has anything to do with my process of becoming a Muslim, but it was a very interesting dream. At that same time also, around that same time, those 2 weeks that I was reading the books, on the internet we did not have websites, but they had services that had, like, they called them billboards. Billboards actually were according to interest. So if you wanted to learn how to make candles, if you wanted to learn how to paint, do art, or kalau minat sukan, whatever your interest or hobby is, there's a billboard, and you can put your information. Other people will contact you to share information about whatever that is. They had one about agama. It was a billboard for religion, but it was very general. It wasn't about Islam or about Christianity. It was just religion. So saya tulis, I wrote on there my name, my email address, and that I'm very interested to learn more about Islam.
Selepas 2-3 hari beliau membaca terjemahan tersebut, beliau pergi ke sebuah kedai buku second hand lah, kedai buku yang telah digunakan. Tetapi biasa di kedai-kedai tersebut, buku-buku yang ada adalah buku yang berkaitan dengan Kristianiti. Tetapi pada hari tersebut, dekat dengan cashier yang tempat bayar, ada satu kotak yang dekat dalam kotak tu ada tulis harga istimewa lah. Dan dia pergi ke kotak itu dan dia ada satu terjemahan Al-Quran Yusuf Ali di atas kan. Jadi dia pun belilah buku terjemahan tersebut dengan harga satu dolar sahaja. Dan beliau bawa ke rumah buku tersebut dan beliau mula membaca terjemahan tersebut. Pada suatu hari beliau setelah selesai membaca buku terjemahan tersebut, beliau tutup buku dan apabila meletakkan buku itu ada maklumat berkenaan penerbit buku tersebut, publisher, di belakang buku tersebut. Dan pada waktu itu, kerana susah untuk dapatkan buku-buku berkaitan Islam, jadi beliau pun telefon penerbit buku itu dan beliau bertanya ada lagi tu buku berkaitan Islam atau ini sahaja yang ada. Jadi penerbit buku itu menjawab mereka masih ada banyak lagi buku tentang Islam. Bagi tahu sahaja buku apa yang kamu nak, dan bayar berapa sahaja yang kamu selesa. Dan pada waktu itu beliau membayar $50 dan beliau menyenaraikan 5 buah buku. Antaranya buku Al-Quran, iaitu bahasa Arab dan bahasa Inggeris, buku berkaitan sirah, buku berkaitan rukun iman dan rukun Islam, dan beberapa lagi yang lain. Dan beliau sangka beliau kena tunggu lebih kurang 2 ke 3 minggu sebelum buku itu sampai. Tapi dalam masa seminggu sahaja sudah sampai sebuah kotak buku. Dan beliau buka kotak tersebut, beliau dapati ada dekat atas sekali ada sejadah yang berwarna biru yang sangat cantik. Dan sejadah itu pun sangat wangi. Beliau tidak pernah bau yang wangi seperti itu. Dan di dalam kotak tersebut ada lebih kurang 20 ke 25 buah buku. Dan ada yang besar, ada yang kecil. Dan dalam masa 2 minggu sahaja beliau sudah habiskan baca semua buku di dalam kotak tersebut. Dan dalam sekitar waktu yang sama juga beliau pernah alami satu mimpi. Dalam mimpi itu beliau bermimpi beliau mencari sesuatu. Kemudian beliau nampak seorang lelaki berbaju putih, berambut hitam panjang. Dan lelaki itu masuk ke dalam bangunan. Beliau tidak tahu itu bangunan apa, tetapi itu seperti bangunan awam lah, bangunan yang orang lain pun boleh masuk. Mungkin tempat membaca, bangunan tempat membaca buku, perpustakaan. Dan kemudian lelaki itu dia duduk di atas lantai. Dan beliau merasakan benda itu adalah sangat pelik, kerana di Amerika lelaki yang dewasa tidak akan duduk di atas lantai, kerana itu bukanlah kebiasaan orang Amerika. Biasanya orang dewasa akan duduk di atas kerusi. Sampai sekarang pun beliau masih cuba membiasakan diri duduk atas lantai, masih tidak mampu. Dan itulah keakhiran mimpi tersebut. Tapi beliau tidak meletakkan apa-apa maksud pada mimpi ini. Dan beliau pun sampai sekarang masih fikir apakah maksud mimpi ini. Pada waktu yang sama juga di internet pada waktu itu ada satu servis yang dinamakan papan iklan. Di dalam papan iklan itu papan iklan itu adalah berdasarkan apa yang kita minat. Contohnya kalau minat melukis, so kita boleh letak maklumat kita di dalam papan iklan itulah. So beliau meletakkan maklumat beliau, nama dan email beliau di dalam papan iklan agama. So agama ni dia umum saja. Agama Islam pun dia letak nama dan email dia di dalam papan iklan agama di dalam internet.
After I put my information on the billboard on the internet, I forgot about it. And within a few days, I received an email. And the email was from a doctor from Jordan. He was a specialist doctor, Dr. Pakar. He was living and working in the US, in America. And he contacted me very santai, very casual, very nice, mashallah. And he just basically told me, here's my phone number. If you have any questions about Islam, please give me a call. Or if you need anything, please give me a call. I'm here and I hope to hear from you. So I called him and we talked. And mashallah, sometimes I would have a question. I really tried to respect his time because he's very busy, his schedule. He's a doctor, specialist doctor, very, very busy. So we would talk occasionally, very casually. And he always, even if I didn't call him, every week he was calling me just to ask, how are you? Do you have any questions? You know, I hope you're doing well. And just very, very nice, mashallah, may Allah reward him. I kept reading, as I mentioned, I finished the books in about 2 weeks approximately. One day I was walking inside of my house. I was walking from one room to another. I think I was going to my office. And I felt something as I was walking across the floor. And something like, it was a deep, deep feeling. And I didn't know, it wasn't like sakit, but I felt something inside. And I'm like, so I stop and I'm thinking, I realized what I was feeling was a very, very, very deep need, a very deep need to become Muslim. I felt the need. There's a difference between want and need. We need to drink liquid every day or we get dehydrated. We may want to drink teh tarik, teh Uwais, limau, etc. But we need to drink something. I felt deep, deep, deep inside. I can't explain how I felt, but it was so deep. I need to be Muslim. I'm on top of a mountain in a Christian community. There are no Muslims. Alhamdulillah. I felt the need so strongly. I went into my office and I said shahada. Seorang sendiri. I said shahada by myself, and I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to please accept my shahada. After that, after saying my shahada, I realized, oops, I need to learn how to pray. Machamana, how am I going to pray? I don't know how to pray. So I looked on the internet. At that time, there was a program called Cyber Salat. Cyber Salat, they had images that were drawn of people. They had images of drawn of people, and there was no face. There was actually no face on the images, but they had the different positions of salat. And they had the different positions. And I would actually watch this. Okay, no problem. Okay. Sorry, just one moment, please. Technical difficulties. We okay? I have a pocket here if you want to. Yeah, boleh, inshallah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so I went in and I said shahada by myself. I started following this program. The program actually had lima waktu salat. It had the adhan, iqama. So I started following. And I would hear Allahu Akbar. I would look at my computer. Okay, Bapa, what do I need to do? And ruku. Okay, ruku. Okay. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Apa? Okay. Tiga hari macam tu. 3 days. I prayed in front of my computer or beside my computer and staring and seeing what's next. And when I wasn't praying, I was trying to memorize the surah pendek, the short surahs. So I memorized in 3 days approximately. I memorized like 3 or 4 short surahs and Al-Fatiha. And I started praying. Alhamdulillah, Hidayah min Allah. Tawfiq wal Hidayah min Allah. I was the only Muslim in that community and in the communities around that area at that time. There was one doctor, I found out later, in another community, maybe about 45 minutes away. There was one doctor, but he wasn't at home very often. He was actually at a hospital at another city that he would travel to, but he lived in a community about maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away. I started to feel very lonely because I was the only Muslim. All of my friends at that time, before that, were Christian. I didn't know any Muslims other than the doctor that I would talk to on the phone. But I wanted to learn more about Islam. I wanted to be with Muslims. I felt that I want to gain knowledge in Islam. And I didn't know how to do that by myself. I realized I need to go to a masjid, I need to go and meet my Muslim brothers, and I want to learn about Islam. So I started making phone calls. In America, we have phone books, buku telephone. We have white pages that are actually like biji rumah, like families. And then we have the yellow pages, which are businesses, the business listings. So they have telephone. So I started looking for names. Muhammad Ali. I started looking for Muslim names in the phone book, and I started calling people to try to find Muslims. I did that for like maybe a few hours, and I didn't really find anyone that I could talk to. So I started thinking, okay, who else can I call? There's a university about an hour, maybe an hour and a half from where I was living. And the university is international university. So I started thinking, maybe they have professors, or maybe they have students that are Muslim. So I called, and the receptionist answers, And I explained to her that I think this is a very strange question, but do you have any Muslims at your university? And she very quickly answered, yes, we do. And she said, actually every Friday they have 2 lecture halls, and there's one professor, he's actually the dean of the faculty. He reserves these 2 for lunch. Would you like to contact him? Would you like to talk to him? So she put me through to his voicemail. I left a message. I explained to him that saya baru shahada seorang sendiri. He called me back and he was very surprised. Like, really? I want to hear your story. So I explained to him a little bit more. He invited me to come to the university. And I didn't know that they were having Salat al-Jum'ah. MashaAllah. I knew about Salat al-Jum'ah, but I didn't know that that university had Salat al-Jum'ah regularly. He invited me to come to Salat al-Jum'ah there. And I said my shahada again at that university during the Salat al-Jum'ah. I was a bit nervous. I didn't feel scared, but I was a bit nervous because it's my first time to pray with Muslims. I want to ikut, I want to follow properly, I want to pray properly because I've been praying at home by myself. So I'm really lining up, looking at my feet, looking at everyone else's feet. MashaAllah, warna lain, different colors. The feet were like all different colors. There's people from Africa, there's people from African Americans, Africans, Asians, Pakistanis, Indians, all over, people from all over the world at this university. And then I looked down, kaki putih. Saya seorang, just saya sahaja. But I almost felt like crying though, because I felt emotion. Because here we are from all over the world to worship Allah together as one brotherhood. MashaAllah. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwan. Sebenarnya orang-orang yang beriman itu adalah bersaudara. MashaAllah, for mu'alaf macam saya, new Muslims or Muslims that have been Muslim that masuk Islam, this ayah is very important for us. And here in Malaysia, I meet mu'alaf quite frequently, and it's very important for them also. Many times when someone masuk Islam, when they become Muslim, they can have family problems. The family maybe doesn't approve. The family is not happy. I have met people here in Malaysia, when they tell their family, the family throws them out of the house. They have to leave their house. If the boss at work finds out and they're not happy, they don't have a job anymore. And sometimes there are homeless people. I've met a few actually in Ipoh, Perak, where I live. I've met a few that are homeless. And they're searching for bantuan because they're hungry. They're homeless. They're mu'alaf. And we don't know their situation. I don't judge anyone. I don't feel like we're in a position to be judgmental. But I think that it's very important to realize that mu'alaf, their situation may be difficult. And if you have the opportunity to meet someone yang baru masuk Islam or a mu'alaf, please ask about their situation. Please ask them, because sometimes they're really struggling and they don't quite feel accepted by the Muslim community, especially like here in Malaysia, there are different groups. And I hear sometimes that the mu'alaf, the first time they go to the masjid, they don't feel welcome. They don't feel very accepted by the community. And they end up feeling very very lonely because their family doesn't want contact. Now they have a new family in the masjid. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. We have a brotherhood in Islam. And hopefully they will feel that brotherhood when they come to the masjid, inshallah. And they will feel that they have support of their brothers and sisters in Islam, inshallah. My situation, I had some difficulty with my brother. I was very casual. After I became Muslim, saya santai, saya call dia, saya nak beritahu dia that saya baru masuk Islam, just conversation. Dia memang marah. He became very angry. Dia abang, 5 years older than me. He became very angry. And he started to say very bad things about Muslims. started calling Muslims very bad names. And then he said, I don't want any contact with Muslims. I don't like Muslims. I don't want to talk to Muslims. 20 tahun lebih, dia tak cakap dengan saya. And so, may Allah give him Hidayah. May Allah give him Hidayah. I mean, but very difficult situation sometimes. And I went, after I became Muslim, after I said my shahada, I started feeling lonely. I want to be in Muslim community. So I searched for a job opportunity, dekat masjid, near a masjid, in another city. I moved, saya pindah. I started going to the masjid. An Arab brother, I think he may have been Palestinian, maybe Palestinian. He was sitting with me, just talking. And he wanted to know, like, after you became Muslim, how were your parents? Do you have any brothers, sisters? How did they react? Reaksi dia. How was it? And I explained about my brother. And he said, jangan risau. Because wherever you go in this world, you have brothers and sisters in Islam. You have abang, you have adik. Mana ada orang Islam, ada saudara. You have brothers. MashaAllah. So, innamal mu'minuna ikhwa is very important. It's very, very important. And I appreciate the opportunity actually to meet each and every one of you. I really, really, really feel love for my brothers in Islam. And I can't explain how happy I feel, but I've been to a few masjid this week here in Kedah. And each experience is special. Each experience I really feel like it's so nice to meet brothers that I have never met before. And I'm so happy to meet you.
Selepas beliau memasukkan alamat Lepas beliau masukkan maklumat beliau dalam papan iklan di internet, beliau lupakanlah apa yang beliau buat tu. Tapi selang beberapa hari ada seorang doktor daripada Jordan. Doktor itu daripada Jordan tapi dia kerja di US juga. Dia sangat santai. Dia bagi tahu pada beliau, kalau ada apa-apa kau saja, kalau ada apa-apa soalan bagi tahu saja. Dan dia cuba hormatlah pada itu sangat sibuk. Jadi beliau akan call doktor itu lebih kurang seminggu sekali lah. Sehinggalah pada suatu hari di dalam rumah beliau rasa perasaan yang sangat dalam. Dia bukan sakit tetapi satu perasaan yang sangat kuat, yang beliau perlu masuk Islam. Dia bukan beliau mahu masuk Islam, tetapi beliau perlu masuk Islam. Bukan sekadar kemahuan, tetapi keperluan. Jadi beliau cepat-cepat masuk dalam pejabat beliau, dan beliau mengucap 2 kalimah syahadah, dan beliau berdoa supaya syahadah beliau itu diterima. Semoga Allah menerima syahadah beliau. Tetapi selepas itu beliau sedar beliau perlu solat. Dan pada waktu itu ada satu apps yang namanya Cyber Solat. Dan apps Cyber Solat ni dia adalah gambar lah, yang gambar-gambar yang menunjukkan syahadah solat, tetapi tak ada muka. Muka orang yang menunjukkan solat itu tak ada. Jadi beliau solatlah menggunakan apps tersebut. Di dalam apps tersebut ada memberitahu ada 5 waktu solat. Dan setiap kali contohnya beliau mendengar Allahu Akbar, beliau akan tengok skrin untuk tiru pergerakan daripada apps tersebut. Dan perkara ini berlanjutan lebih kurang 3 hari. Dan beliau cuba untuk hafal surah-surah pendek, dan pada waktu itu beliau pun dah boleh membaca Al-Fatihah. Dan beliau dalam keadaan sebegitu, sehinggalah pada suatu tahap beliau mula merasa keseorangan, kerana beliau satu-satunya orang Islam di tempat itu pada waktu itu. Dan beliau pun mula untuk mencari kenalan lah, untuk sebagai menyokong beliau dalam beragama Islam. Dan beliau pada waktu itu ada buku telefon. Ini zaman dulu lah ya. Di dalam buku telefon ini, kalau muka surat warna putih itu adalah untuk keluarga, muka surat warna kuning adalah untuk bisnes. Ini semua dah ada di dalam buku telefon itu. Dan dia akan cari nama Muhammad Ali atau Muhammad, nama-nama Muslim dia akan cuba kontak. Dan pada waktu itu juga dia nampak satu kontak universiti. Jadi dia cuba kontak universiti, dan itu pun adalah universiti antarabangsa. Jadi mesti ada orang Muslim kat situ. Jadi dia cuba kontak pihak universiti, dan ada bila dia call universiti itu, ada orang yang angkat dan dia tanya ada tak orang Muslim lain kat situ. Jadi orang universiti itu kata ada dekat sini, ada dua kira macam dua dewan lah, dewan yang memang reserve untuk orang-orang Muslim ni pada setiap minggu. Jadi orang kat universiti tadi nak disambungkan kepada dean universiti tak? Maksudnya macam ketua kuliah universiti. Okay. Lepas tu beliau meninggalkan voicemail untuk dean tersebut, dan dean tersebut kontak beliau balik dan berminatlah dengan cerita beliau yang beliau baru masuk Islam. Dan dean itu ajak beliau untuk ke universiti dan ceritakan cerita beliau. Dan ketika itulah barulah beliau mengambil syahadah sekali lagi di universiti tersebut. Dan pada hari itu beliau pertama kalinya solat Jumaat bersama jemaah Muslim. Dan pada ketika itu beliau merasa sangat emosional, merasa sangat tersentuh apabila berada di dalam saf, melihat berbeza warna kaki saf jemaah yang berbeza, dan semuanya menyembah Allah SWT. Beliau merasa sangat tersentuh. Sebenarnya di situlah yang menggambarkan innamal mu'minuna dari ikhwah, sesungguhnya orang Muslim itu bersaudara. Dan beliau merasakan ayat ini adalah sangatlah penting, kerana sebagai mu'alaf beliau berkata biasanya mu'alaf ini menghadapi cabaran iaitu tentangan daripada keluarga. Beliau ada seorang kawan yang dibuang keluarga selepas menjadi seorang mu'alaf, dan beliau pernah juga jumpa mu'alaf yang tidak ada rumah. Bukan untuk judge, tapi ini adalah satu cabaran yang mu'alaf hadapi. Jadi apabila beliau menasihatkan, apabila kita berjumpa mu'alaf, tanyalah dia bagaimana keadaan kamu, bagaimana penerimaan keluarga kamu. Kerana di situlah ada semangat innamal mu'minuna ikhwah. Dan secara pengalaman persendirian beliau mempunyai seorang abang yang lebih tua 5 tahun daripada beliau. Dan apabila beliau memberitahu kepada abang beliau yang beliau sudah masuk Islam, abang beliau tu sangat menentang perkara tersebut dan memanggil orang-orang Muslim ini dengan nama-nama yang tidak baik. Dan kemudian abang beliau berkata, aku tidak mahu berhubung dengan mana-mana orang Muslim, dan terus tutup telefon. Dan beliau tidak bercakap dengan abang beliau sendiri selama hampir 20 tahun. Dan selepas waktu itu beliau mencari kerja di sekitar masjid di bandar, di satu bandar yang dekat dengan masjid, untuk menutup rasa keseorangan beliau. Dan ada seorang lelaki Arab daripada Palestin yang pernah tanya kepada beliau, bagaimanakah penerimaan keluarga kamu selepas kamu masuk Islam? Dan beliau memberitahu bahawa abang saya sendiri tidak bercakap dengan saya selama hampir 20 tahun. Kemudian lelaki Arab itu berkata, jangan risau, di dalam Islam ini semua antara kita adalah bersaudara, innamal mu'minuna ikhwah. Dan beliau berkata, beliau sangat menghargai peluang yang telah diberikan untuk berjumpa dengan jemaah-jemaah daripada pelbagai masjid, bukan beliau merasa semangat persaudaraan itulah.
Okay, I'll try to summarize and shorten a little bit because of time. I realize this is going quite long. Within a few years after that, Islamophobia in America started to get very strong. And having this can be a problem. Wearing this can be a problem. Kalau muslimat pakai tudung can be a problem. So daily life started to feel not so comfortable. So I did some research and I decided to come to Malaysia, and I wanted to live here. And Alhamdulillah, Qadr of Allah, when I arrived in Kuala Lumpur, shortly after that, I met my wife. orang Johor, orang Pontian. Masak pedas. Sangat pedas, macam bunga api. Alhamdulillah. Tapi qadar Allah, I met my wife, we did the family meeting, nikah walima, Alhamdulillah. Duduk sini. Ada dua anak, sila berdoa, anak lelaki sini, tinggal SPM sekarang. Ada satu exam lagi, biology. InsyaAllah 3 hari bulan depan. Ada satu anak perempuan, dia akan masuk Form 3. Alhamdulillah. Change topic sikit. I want to talk about Dawah. Currently, I'm a masjid tour guide at Masjid Negeri Ipoh Perak. Masjid Negeri Perak. I focus on Dawah in the English language with tourists that come from Europe, from Canada, from America, Australia. The very large majority of the tourists that come have so much misinformation from the media. They don't understand about Islam. And I understand that they don't understand. I came from the West. I've been to the churches in America where they talk bad about Islam, where they talk about Muslims, and it's not nice. So the misinformation is very confusing for these people because they come here not having the correct idea about Muslims, about Islam. So what I try to do is correct betulkan misinformation. I try to correct the misinformation. But many times the pelancong, they share with me that this is the very first time that they enter a masjid. This is the very first time that they have a discussion or a talk with a Muslim about Islam, about religion. And they have sometimes in France and Germany, I have had tourists, pelancong, they tell me, oh, I have a friend who's Muslim from Maghreb, from Algeria, Tunisia, living in France. We're very good friends, but they never tell me about Islam. So this is my first conversation about Islam with a Muslim. And it's my very first time coming to a masjid. MashaAllah. When they first come, they're very surprised to see muka putih, orang putih, di dalam masjid. So I have to explain, which is a really nice opportunity for me. It's a dawah opportunity. Because they ask me, oh, are you Muslim? Ya, saya masuk Islam 25 tahun lepas. Sebelum itu, saya orang Kristen. Oh, kenapa kalau orang Christianity masuk Islam? Dawah opportunity, alhamdulillah. Inside of the masjid, after we bincang, when we discuss and talk, as soon as they walk into the masjid, the reaction has been 99.5% very, very positive. And when I go into the masjid with tourists, with pelancong, I stop, saya diam. Because usually we're talking a lot, because we have short time together. I try to give them as much information as possible. But as soon as we walk into the masjid, I am very quiet. Saya tunggu. I wait like 30 seconds. And then I ask them, how do you feel? How do you feel? And 99.9% they tell me they feel tenang. A tranquility, like very, very deep tranquility. They feel calm and they feel happy. They're very happy to be inside the masjid. These are non-Muslims. They're very, very happy. When they see the mihrab, when they see the minbar, a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago I believe, at Masjid Negeri, ada orang Jepun, lelaki, non-Muslim, he came, first time visiting masjid. When he saw the mihrab and the minbar, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he said, saya rasa di dalam hati, shaking. And sangat gembira. And then he told me, I feel this is a very special place. MashaAllah. This is non-Muslim from Japan. So I would encourage, if it's possible, please open up the activities in your surau or in the masjids in the area around here and allow the non-Muslims to come and have the experience, because Islam adalah agama yang sangat indah. It's beautiful. And the Muslims that I know, I actually know a pendawa in Kuala Lumpur. I won't say who he is. He's very well known. And he grew up here in Malaysia. He masuk Islam bila orang dewasa. And he grew up here. His friends when he was growing up and going to like SMK were local Muslims. After he became Muslim, and now he's like pendawa, he's doing a lot of dawah activities. When I had discussion with him, he mentioned to me that he doesn't know why his friends in the SMK, Orang Melayu, why didn't they share with him about the beauty of Islam? They didn't tell him about Islam and how beautiful it is. Because when he became Muslim, he's so happy. And sekarang pendawa. He's doing dawah to non-Muslims. Alhamdulillah. So I would encourage, if you can have any activity like masjid terbuka, surau terbuka, any activity makan-makan, please consider inviting the non-Muslim neighbors around the area of the surau, around the area of different masjids, inshallah, because it opens up an opportunity, like a bridge, for the non-Muslims to come and ask questions. Many times they have many questions. When the pelancong datang Masjid Negeri, the first thing we do is introduction, ice-breaking, conversation. How long have you been in Malaysia? Have you tried the mamak food? Very general conversation. Once we start talking about Islam, I usually ask them first, are you interested in the architecture of the masjid? Are you interested in the seerah of the masjid, the history of the masjid? Are you interested in, learning more about Islamic history, or are you interested in learning more about Islam in general? Many times they actually tell me that they're very interested to learn more about Islam. Sometimes my discussions with non-Muslims can last 2.5 to 3 hours. The longest has been 3. 3 jam. They sit, they ask so many questions. They're very interested to learn. And I've tried to be very casual, very relaxed. But saya bincang hati ke hati. I talk heart to heart. And those conversations are very deep. And I think giving an opportunity for the non-Muslims in this area, in the surau, an opportunity to come here and feel welcome. Gembira, makan-makan, santai-santai. They can ask questions. I think it bridges the gap, because actually I find that local non-Muslims, they feel like they can't come here. I'm not saying this surau, I'm saying in general, they can't come to a surau or a masjid in Malaysia. About a month and a half ago, a Chinese man came to Masjid Negeri. 68 years old, I think. He grew up in Ipoh Perak. Lahir di Ipoh Perak. And he came in, he saw a banner that said, free tours, visitors welcome, pelancong welcome, free tours. So he came in and he said, is it okay for me to be here? And I'm like, yes, you're welcome, please come. Like a special guest, come. And he said, I've lived here my whole life, and this is the first time that I've ever been inside of a masjid. I didn't know that it was allowed. I didn't feel like I had permission to go inside of a masjid. And then alhamdulillah, saya bincang dengan dia, I shared some information with him, gave him a tour around the masjid. And when he left, sangat gembira. He was so happy, alhamdulillah. So that's an interesting thing. I want to make this short. My story actually, before I say that, penting untuk kita semua cuba berdakwah mengikut kemampuan masing-masing, inshallah. Each person has different capacity, different skills, different abilities, different education level, lots of different things. But it's important to share about the beauty of Islam, even if we just like smile and offer food. this can be a form of dawah. This can be a form of dawah, inshallah. My story actually isn't about me. It's not about me sitting here in front of you. My story is actually about iman dan tawakal kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and also about dawah dan taufik dan hidayah daripada Allah. Iman dan tawakal kepada Allah bila saya berdoa. I had made a lot of effort, usaha banyak dalam agama Kristian, cuba cari kebenaran. But at the end of that, saya sangat penat, so confused, pening kepala. When I stopped, I put my faith and my trust in Allah. Saya berdoa, and I asked Allah to please show me the truth. Dawah, the program on the radio where they mention Quran, Dawah. Alhamdulillah. There was a Dawah program on the radio. And then the doctor that gave me his telephone number, he reached out to me, Dawah. The kotak buku-buku tu, Dawah. Alhamdulillah. And then taufik dan hidayah, bila saya rasa sangat kuat di dalam, saya perlu masuk Islam. I need to be Muslim. I think with that I'll end, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khairan. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm so happy to meet each and every one of you. Alhamdulillah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jadi beberapa tahun selepas itu, dan ini pendekkan cerita lah, beliau merasakan tidak selesa kerana di tempat beliau menyimpan campur memakai kopiah itu akan jadi masalah, akan mendapat tentangan ataupun tidak selesa daripada komuniti setempat dan beliau membuat kajian dan beliau memilih untuk datang ke Malaysia. Dan tak berapa lama setelah beliau sampai di Malaysia, beliau juga berkahwin dengan isteri beliau yang sekarang yang berasal daripada Johor, dan beliau sekarang mempunyai seorang anak lelaki dan seorang anak perempuan. Dan beliau sekarang bekerja sebagai pemandu pelancong untuk masjid di Perak. Dan sebagai seorang pemandu pelancong, beliau fokus kepada berdakwah kepada orang-orang yang berbahasa Inggeris dan orang-orang yang tidak faham tentang Islam. Dan apabila beliau cuba menerangkan kepada pelancong-pelancong ini tentang Islam, ramai orang, biasanya orang daripada France, Jerman, beliau memberitahu bahawa di tempat beliau sendiri, orang-orang Muslim, orang-orang daripada Afghanistan atau daripada Mesir memang tidak pernah memberitahu kepada mereka tentang Islam. Jadi beliau menjadi seorang pemandu pelancong itu memang membuka ruang kepada beliau untuk menerangkan kepada orang-orang bukan Islam ini tentang Islam itu sendiri. Dan biasanya di dalam apabila beliau menjalankan kerja sebagai pemandu pelancong ini, beliau memang akan mendapat 99% memang akan mendapat maklum balas yang baik daripada pelancong-pelancong. Pelancong-pelancong biasanya akan merasa tenang apabila memasuki masjid. Dan biasanya beliau apabila membawa pelancong pusing masjid, beliau akan senyap dulu apabila masuk masjid dan membiarkan lebih kurang 30 saat selepas itu, dan dia akan tanya kepada pelancong, apa yang kamu rasa? Dan biasanya mereka akan menjawab, mereka rasa sangat tenang dan sangat bahagia. Beliau ada juga pengalaman beberapa minggu yang lepas, seorang Jepun yang melihat mihrab masjid, dan beliau dan lelaki itu seolah-olah terkejut melihat mihrab, dan lelaki itu berkata bahawa beliau merasakan satu getaran di dalam hati apabila melihat mihrab tersebut. Disebabkan itulah beliau menggalakkan program seperti masjid terbuka ini untuk diadakan. Beliau juga menceritakan bahawa beliau kenal seorang pendakwah daripada Kuala Lumpur yang sangat terkenal. Beliau tidak mahu sebutkan nama. Orang pendakwah tersebut telah masuk Islam ketika dewasa lah, tetapi orang pendakwah tersebut sebenarnya dia membesar di Malaysia juga. Dan pendakwah tersebut belajar di SMK. Tetapi pendakwah tersebut menceritakan bahawa tidak pernah ada kawan-kawan Melayu yang menceritakan kepada beliau tentang Islam. Dan beliau merasa hairan kerana beliau setelah masuk Islam sangat bahagia selepas masuk Islam. Jadi beliau daripada sinilah beliau mensarankan supaya adakan surau terbuka ataupun masjid terbuka di mana kita menjemput orang-orang bukan Islam untuk masuk dan bertanya tentang Islam itu sendiri. Apabila orang-orang bukan Islam masuk, biasanya kita akan adakan perbualan yang general dulu, perbualan yang umum dulu. Kemudian kita boleh tanya tentang heart to heart session tentang Islam itu. Beliau sendiri apabila beliau bercakap dengan non-Muslim, beliau akan spend masa lebih kurang 2 ke 3 jam untuk faham, untuk Q&A, untuk soal jawab dengan non-Muslim. Dan setiap orang itu memang ada kebolehan masing-masing. Jadi kita penting untuk kita berdakwah dengan kemampuan kita sendiri. Dan cerita beliau pada hari ini adalah bukan tentang diri beliau. Beliau tegaskan ini adalah cerita tentang tawakal dan taufik dan hidayah itu hanya daripada Allah SWT. Kerana beliau sendiri sudah berusaha bermacam-macam cara untuk mencari kebenaran, tetapi beliau tidak mendapat, tidak menjumpai perkara tersebut. Dakwah itu yang sampai kepada beliau adalah dakwah daripada radio yang beliau dengar, daripada doktor yang bagi phone number, doktor yang daripada Jordan yang bagi phone number, dan juga dakwah daripada orang yang memberikan hadiah kepada beliau 1 kotak buku sebelum ini. Dan kuasaan yang sangat kuat untuk beliau masuk Islam selepas ini, itu semua adalah daripada Allah SWT. Jadi setakat itu saja perkongsian beliau pada hari ini. Aku lupa melihat Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.